All right, so welcome. Whoever is there joining me, can you hear me and see me okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I've got the little Easter bunny right up here chilling out. Happy Easter to everybody that does celebrate. Happy Passover to those that celebrate Passover. And I wanted to let you guys know Easter is always special in my heart because it was on Good Friday 23 years ago that my mom had an emergency heart valve transplant. And she went in on Good Friday, was in a coma, and then woke up on Easter. So very, very special day always for me in my heart because of going through that scenario. So I hope that you guys are respecting the social distancing. You guys are spending time with family and telling them that you love them. I even had an idea that I might do myself is that you never know what tomorrow has. So I might even go ahead and record some videos for my little ones of their special bedtime songs, messages for graduating high school, college, getting married. So little things like that that could be a reminder for later on if you were to get this virus and if it were to become something catastrophic. So just a thought on that to be able to leave a legacy for your family. So let's go ahead and get into it a little bit for this week. My favorite, hi Arky, good to see you. So I wanted to go ahead and pull up, I do have trade ideas up here because they are having a special sale. They do have it maybe 3 to 4 times a year of 25% off. And I've got my favorite window right here of my morning gappers, the up gappers. And this is from the 18th, oops, I have the wrong date there, the 18th of January, but here we can just do it like this. You can change it and you can configure. I don't want to configure. I want to go ahead and do the time frame for historical data for 9/20/20. Oh yeah, it's for 9/20/20. The date that I saved it was way back in 4/18. So you guys see I've had it for a long time. And what I like to do in the mornings too is I'll even sort it based on position and lifetime range. You have position and year range. You can customize these. It's awesome. If you guys know Brian Shannon at all with his anchored VWAP, they do have that now available on Trade Ideas charts, which is amazing. So you can go and you can pick any day and you'll do an anchored VWAP. So it's anchored from that day. So the volume weighted average price from that day. So you can see, all right, it pretty much respected it. It bounced up off of there. What I found is interesting is if you go here to the high before the blow off top, so we hit a high, came back down, hit the blow off top, more selling came into it, and then we came down. So if you go to this date right here, isn't that a coincidence that we came and we hit it, right? The anchored VWAP for this day is 277.50. We closed above it by 20 cents. We could also go and do, when we do the anchored VWAP from the actual high, you can see we've gone and we've closed above it. If we go back again a little bit further, say we pick, we already did that high. Let's do this high just before. Look at that. It hit it and then it came back down. So it's really cool to see how the anchored VWAPs work and how the prices can stop at them just like a moving average, depending on the days that you use. Many times it'll be the highs and the lows. So if you go back here, you pick the low from this area as well. You have to go and change the settings, and here you modify the parameters. So that was way back. The furthest one back was February, right? No, let's see, let's go here. This is October. It's back in January of 2019. So let's just change the color here for this one. We'll be able to see. Happy Easter, Bat Scientist. I hope you guys have had a great Easter. Let's see, I changed one of them. That was that one. I'm looking for this date right here. So this is all the way back. I picked back here, August. So if I go, you guys probably cannot see the parameters just because I selected just that window. So it's going to be August. So I'm looking for that date to go ahead. I can't find it right off the bat, but you can go and you can see how it respects these dates, right? So when we draw the anchored VWAP line, it's pretty cool. So definitely check out Brian Shannon too, Alpha Trends, amazing guy as well. Developed this awesome tool of the anchored VWAP. You can get it here, you can get it on TrendSpider, also on Yahoo Finance online, as well as his proprietary software that he uses. So definitely check it out. Easter egg is the 25% off promo code. The link is down below. And we'll go ahead and get into the list for today going forward. So let me go ahead. Actually, let me shut this window. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you guys something else, right? So this kind of might be a coincidence. Maybe it's a signal, right? So you see, this is April 13th, 2020, a reality check, bright yellow. Yellow is the #1 color for marketing to grab people's attentions, and why the GDP could plunge by 40%. However, I'm not so much interested in what the text has to say today, but when you look back at January 2020, same color, right? And they're talking about what could go wrong, why stocks could vault past this milestone. If you're trying to buy millions of shares, or if you're trying to sell millions of shares, wouldn't you want to try to get people's attention on that, right? So, hey, the stocks just had their best week in 46 years. Proceed with caution. So not sure whether I get the sentiment that that's going to be like, hey, don't buy, or hey, don't sell. But it's bright yellow. They want to try to get the retail traders' attention for one reason or another. I also want to bring you guys to FinViz. So I did a little research as well on FinViz, was scanning stocks over $10, relative volume over 10%, over 10 times relative volume. And you can see, look at all these ETFs. This is not normal that we see all of these ETFs that have, look at this one. I don't know if you guys can see it, 51%. Let me make that a little larger. Can you see that, guys? Let me slide it over. You can see 50% right here, 47%, 45%, excuse me, not 45%, but 45 times relative volume. That's actually stock though. But we've got all these ETFs right here, and many of them are bonds. You have some value factor ones as well. You also have some short duration income ETFs that we're trading at 14 times relative volume. And so just something to look at. When you start to see abnormal volume, many times that's going to be a signal that there's something else that's going on, right? So let's go ahead and pull up the charts and go ahead and get into it. I'm glad that helped Arky. What do you guys think? You like my little bunny over here? All right, it's just gonna take a second. All right, let's go here. It takes a while to load because I do have a lot of drawings on here, and I love, love, love TradingView. So I wanted to go back, right, last week. For anyone that's new today that is watching, let me see, we've got 11 people. Where are you guys coming in from too? I'm always curious to know. I'm up in Montreal and happy to be chilling here with you guys until my little ones wake up. My oldest is not sleeping, so there's a chance she could come in and bother us. But I wanted to talk about what we had going on last week. I'd mentioned you know, the 6th was Monday, right? So I said, hey, watch, go for potential move up. If it breaks 35, right? Look at that. We hit a nice $3 move up. So roughly 10% if you traded that for a swing. Also, CCL had this one as well on watch, right? We had it here, 9.25. Look at that. Went all the way up to 13. So a nice $4.50 move, 50% if you traded that. Macy's as well. I said, look at this abnormal volume. Let's pay attention, right? This abnormal volume is going to be significant, and that there's going to be a move that's going to happen. Now, whether it's going to be long or short, we don't know, but that's why it's important to go ahead and watch it. I did have it on my list, my daily watch list later on in the week, but going back into it, I said, hey, if we break 520, let's keep it on watch. Sure enough, Monday morning, 520 up to 7. Almost 50% again. So some great swing opportunities. Let's go ahead and delete these, and we'll go ahead and we'll pull up my list quick. Ah, nice, Michigan. I heard there was some snow up in Michigan. We've gotten a bit of snow here too lately. Let's actually go right into the indexes, and then I'll pull up the list and add it on there. All right, so we'll go to our daily chart. You guys can see I do have those consolidation boxes, right? So we have this area of consolidation, and then boom, we came down here, another week, dropped below, came back up, another week of hanging out here, dropped below, and then shot back up again. And now we actually have this doji candlestick with a little bit higher than normal volume. And we're hitting this purple trend line, which is from a weekly chart, I believe. And this is from way back here, right? It held at support, and I don't know why we have this here. Let's move these, get rid of these lines here. I know it looks a bit jumbled, and I'm trying to find out how to hide these alerts. But you can see that one acted as support in the past, and many times we see those lines or moving averages that act as support in the past will then act as resistance. And if we look at it on the weekly chart too, you can see we pretty much came right to it, and it closed just below. Let's go to our 45-minute chart and see. Really, we closed below it on the daily candle, right? Because we closed right here at 278.20. So we closed just below it. Yes, it went up after hours. This is also a prior line, prior print. If you guys don't know about dark pools, I'm going to do a video this week about dark pools, explaining it. My mom is getting really curious now. She hears all this stuff. I'm telling her these things that we talk about in the training pit and Java pit, where I also teach twice a week. And she's becoming really excited about it. Been a value investor this whole time, and now she's excited to learn. So it's great that I have a student, my mom. That's awesome. So we've hit this prior level of importance. Another prior level of importance to see, Apple. Apple, we have this level right here too. We came and hit it on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, Wednesday came up, and then Thursday we closed up above it. So could be of significance. It might pull back further and drop down below. Many times the larger traders will come back up to important levels that they've been to in the past for either buying or selling. So it's great to keep them on watch. And Nasdaq as well. So Nasdaq, let's go to our daily chart. So you can see we came up, we've got this. Let me stretch it out a little bit for you guys. So we have this moving average, this green cross line, which it seems like they've been respecting a lot in this downturn. So we closed just below it. You can see that's at 201, and we closed at 200.86. That is a moving average. And here is the 200 EMA and 200 SMA, which we closed just above it, so that could be considered bullish. However, we're still below the 50 simple moving average, and the 50 is still curling down. So with this moving average still curling down, that's not encouraging, right? Yes, we have a flattening of the 200 simple moving average. However, the 50 is coming and it's going down. So that's not a very good bullish symbol, right? And also on the SPY, we had the death cross that happened back here, right? However, it consolidated and it's still coming up. But I do track the 200 simple moving average on the 45 daily, weekly, monthly, and it has been flattening. On the daily, it was curling down a little bit. On the monthly, it's like one day up, one day down, one day up, one day down. So it's really flattening. So keeping that on watch for sure. Is it going to be a repeat of 2008? There is a chance of that. When we have the overall market, you know, everything pretty much halting, you got to think of it this way too. The market is bullish overall because all this money is constantly being poured in from people's 401ks, right? So welcome from Virginia, Amy, and welcome, Ronald. So when all this money is being poured in from people's paychecks into their 401ks or their IRA accounts or retirement accounts, what do those guys do? They buy in the market. They're not going to short, they're going to be buying in the market. So that means that there's always money coming in to buy the shares. Well, what happens when people aren't working? How much of that money that's constantly buying is not happening right now? If we're at 10%, all right, that's 10% of the salaries that money for retirement accounts are being pulled out, that it's not going into the market, right? So just something to think about, that yes, the market overall is bullish because there's always money being poured into it, but if people aren't working, then that money's not being poured into it as much, right? And let's look at the Russell. Okay, so Russell, it's looking strong, right? We filled this gap almost to the upside, came and touched it, and then came back. Now we do have this gap to the downside right here. So we can see if we break below 121, might have a nice move down 3 points, 3.26 points, down to 118 area. All right, or we could continue up, and it could test up here, test up to the 130 level as well, 7 points to the upside. We did have higher than normal volume on that Friday as well, and we're a bit extended away from the moving averages, which would also fill that gap. So something to look at. We might have a pullback day on Monday and then a further up move, or they might have been setting up to go ahead and start taking it down from here. We'll see what the big guys want. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the list right here, and I'm going to put it up here actually. We'll type it in: PSMT, SA, CHWY, TUP, TZ, whoops, COO, EFG, BLUE, IHI, JETS, and XLRE. Spelled that wrong. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's start with XLRE. Actually, we'll start at the top. PSMT. All right, so PSMT has 20 points.
I found my bunny rabbit.
Okay, good.
It was on the kitchen table.
Okay, go tell Daddy that you guys woke up, okay?
Okay.
I love you. I'll see you later. Have fun.
Are you playing Dodo?
I am a fast typer, Dozer Edge.
Where's Dada?
He's downstairs playing his new game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go see him, okay? Yeah. Okay, I love you, girls.
I found my figurine.
Okay.
Me too. Mine has...
Sorry, guys, about that. They're so enthusiastic. All right, so PSMT, Price Smart. So if we break above that 65.44, might continue on up to the upside. I would give it 62.51 to the downside. Like I said, this does have 20.4 million in the float. When we pull back to the yearly chart, you can see we've had a massive run up. This one did have earnings, and it was better than expected earnings. As a retailer right now, having better than expecting earnings, that is great news, right? And you can also see it had a nice run up, just like the market, however, but it did have a run up into earnings, which could be a good thing. And it might come up and test up there right at that $66 mark and then pull back. You can see that moving average acted as resistance right here and right here. And so it might come up and test it. When it broke above here after breaking below, it shot right back down, even though it opened up higher. But we have movement up, or it could pull back to the moving averages back down here to fill that gap to the downside before continuing up. All right, let's go to SA or Seabridge Gold. So gold sector overall has been doing really well. You can see we are hitting the 50 simple moving average. Again, this is one of those big things, right? Look at this. Abnormal volume, right? So you want to keep that on watch when you're looking at things. You want to see, hey, what is this signal? Why is that important? Again, they're people that are laying the groundwork for a big move, but you don't necessarily know which way. If you come and join us in the training pit and the Java pit, you will very quickly learn how to trade around the really, really big volume. So might have a pullback down if we go down below 1030, maybe down to the 970 area right here. We can hit this moving average. You can see every time that it hit above 10 in the past, it sold off. However, we do have bigger than normal volume and hit the 50 simple moving average. It hit it here and it pulled back. But you guys might see this as well, right? A bit of a cup and handle on the daily. So if we look at it like that, got the depth down 520 from a top of 1050. So we might be looking at $16 to the upside if it were to continue up doing the cup and handle math. All right, so Seabridge Gold, 1031 and $11. All right, again, we had CHWY on the list last week, if you guys saw, and yes, it rocked again, right? So we had the 6th, it consolidated, held above this moving average, and then launched itself up, right? Setting new highs, new 52-week highs over here. So let me just move these up here so I don't have to draw new ones. We'll just adjust it, right? So CHWY has 44.9 million in the float, and it was 54% short float volume. So I want to see that 4180 level, I want to see 42 hold, right? And I want to see a breakout of 4352. Those are the two that I'm looking at. And going forward. Now you might, if we have massive volume going forward, you might see this is all-time breakouts, right? Many people probably put their stops just there at 41.32 and got squeezed above it. So looking at that, this has no resistance. Sky high, it could go. So be careful if you get into it shorting, as shorting something like that could be unlimited risk. All right, on to Tupperware. I did enter this as a swing trade for myself this week, so I will give you guys that disclaimer. And you can see I mentioned it last week as well as a potential swing trade, and I set my alert, and sure enough, my alert went off. So I went ahead and I entered my position. We did have this downward trend right here. It broke it higher than normal volume, right? And when we look at these days back here, 250 is the level that I really like to see for it to break. Above that, we might have a target of $3. The candlestick right here. Looking at this one with a high of 288, 290. So above 250 to 290, and then if we're able to break that, then up to the 50 simple moving average, 340, 350 area, and then up here to 435. In my opinion, the big reason why we had this big sell-off right here is because it opened below $5. There might have been institutions that were holding it. They cannot hold it below $5, so they just dumped it. And that's why it had such a massive volume spike when it broke the $5 mark. We'll see, Desert. What is happening is we also have the earnings coming, right? So if you look back in the past, well, not here, but it does tend to have run up into earnings for a couple of days, and it might have a big squeeze. The fact that it broke this trend line with higher than normal volume is really what I'm looking at. And I do already have a limit order to sell 50% at 100% profit, so that if I'm watching something else, then I get it sells, great, I have zero risk on the trade, except for, that I can put my stop back at entry and I've still made 50% profit. All right, so 206 and 248. We'll see what happens in the week. You know, if it continues forward, if it comes down, I'll set an alert here. Alert if it drops below 176, then hey. If it drops below there, pretty good chance that it will be dropping down further. However, we did see a big consolidation right here, higher than normal volume, ran up and closed higher on the day. All right, so TZoo, Travel Zoo, right? Again, we've got earnings coming in, higher than normal volume. Averages are curling up. We've crossed above the 21 EMA, and we've gone ahead and we pretty much, if I move it up, you can see there's a bit of a W, and we've gone ahead and gone up from there. We did break the middle of the W here at 425, so this one might have continuation move to it this week. Again, Desert Edge, I don't know if you're new to watching my videos, but I do support and resistance levels because it could be a good short if it does break below, right? With that higher than normal volume, we don't know the direction. So it might be going long, which is the direction of the momentum, or it could be a short. People could be entering at the top or being attempting to. So 484 and 520, right? And let's go on to the shorts. So I have a lot of ETFs on here, and it comes back to that list of all of the ETFs that had crazy volume. I mean, look at this. Let's look at the all-time. This is the highest volume ever for EFG. That's something to take note of. Like, we are in an all-time weird situation with the world right now, but this is, you know, a growth ETF, and it could turn into being something crazy and catastrophic on the market. So the high of this candlestick where it came in was 74.30 and the low of 74. But I'd go ahead and give it a wider range, right? I'd go ahead, hey, I want to see it break 74.60 to the upside or break down below 73.70. With this much crazy volume, 50 times the normal volume, there's going to be a move on this ETF. I don't know which direction, but if we see the big move to the upside, I would love for you guys to capitalize on that. If we see the big move to the downside, I would love for you guys to capitalize on it to the downside. I will look at that D image. Let me go ahead and get through my list, and then we'll go ahead and look at that. So if we look back at the year, can you shut my door, please, love? Uh-oh. Hold on 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. What's wrong, sweetheart? Okay. You're okay. You're okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the camera off, and we'll continue. So VLEU, again, crazy volume right here. And so looking at that, for a support to be broken of 67.60, it's okay, honey. Or resistance to the upside of 69.44. Shh, no talking, please, love.
That's my favorite.
No talking, please.
In the world.
Okay, go. All right, so we have a support of 67.60 or resistance of 69.44. All right. So you can see here we filled that gap on Friday, and we have a higher than normal volume doji. So we could come back down, we could fill it back to the downside, or it could go on up and we might test that 50 simple moving average. This is also going to depend on what happens with the market overall. But these traders are laying their groundwork on the ETFs. They're being sneaky. And right now, seeing that it's high volume doji, it ran up, high volume doji. We could have a bearish candlestick over here to the downside. And it could be, you know, downward move from there. So we will see. All right, everything is resolved with my little ones. Okay, let's put the numbers in over here. All right, over to IHI. You guys are going to get it on the chart too on Instagram as well. I post it there if you guys follow me there. So just check it out and you'll have all the data there. Also on LinkedIn, I post it there too. All right, so here we have IHI, medical shares devices. This one does have 19.1 million in the float. So look at this crazy run, 185 up 70 points, low float, had low float momentum, short squeeze, right? And it came up. It's hitting all of these moving averages right here. Again, this moving average, the 200 and 221. What does that look like? It looks just like the SPY, right? Weren't we in the same scenario? No, it wasn't the SPY. QQQ? I think it was QQQ. Yeah, QQQ. Very, very similar. So you can see when a lot of these charts seem to align, then they're going to trade very similarly. This one did go above the 200 EMA, and this moving average, excuse me, that's the 50. Here's the 200, simple right here, is 249.23. So keeping that one on watch. It's this crazy volume that caught my eye when I was doing research today. All right, oops, I meant to put Jets here. So Jets looks like it might have that reversal as well. Did have higher than normal volume. So putting that one on, you can see it hit this moving average and it pulled back, right? Higher than normal volume, very similar volume to back here, right? So let's go to a 15-minute chart. Yes, Jets has the ability, they are going to have that, they're going to have that subsidy that's due to come. However, what's going to happen? They are flying around empty aircraft right now, no passengers. I used to work in the airline industry. They have no passengers on these airplanes, and they're still flying them around, likely for positioning of the aircraft and also not to lose their slots per the FAA if they were to ground their airplanes. Does it make sense to fly them around? It's a breeding ground for the virus. No, doesn't really make sense. They're making their employees sick. And again, it's that high volume that's so interesting to keep and watch. And the last one on my potential short list is XLRE. Again, crazy volume. So keep your eyes peeled for that sort of stuff because it will help you. It looks like they might have, oops. All right, so 35 and we'll call 36 really for XLRE. All right, so I'll bring this over here so you guys can see it, and I'll enlarge it as well so you guys can see it a bit more. If you want to write it down, you can. Oops. Let me make it bigger. Control. There we go, so you guys can see it. So we've got short volume over here, the floats. So we have some lower floats. TZU is definitely lower float. PSMT is lower float, as well as IHI and Jets is fairly low float as well. Jets might go up to 18 and then pull back a bit more. So it might have a nice dollar move up to the upside and then a bit more of a pullback. We will see. All right, so you guys also wanted to talk about IMIMF. All right, Mining Corp. So really the sub penny stuff, I don't really trade that much. And it had earnings. Many times you'll see earnings that has a positive result. I'm not sure whether it's because of trade date plus 2 days for settlement, but on that third day, many times you will see that sell-off happen. So we have trade date 1, first day after second day, so then the people sell it off. And so right now we've also got a trend line that I see. You'd want to see, hey, is it going to break above this, and is it going to break above it with volume? There's lower volume. Yes, it pulled back to the moving averages. It bounced up. However, I'd also like to see it break the moving averages in going long. Let's look at the year That's it. So it just came about as of the 21st of January. So I don't know much more about it. It is a pink sheet stock from Canada. Might be on the TSX as well, likely. But I don't know anything more about that. It did break above here, broke above this high, and then probably had to squeeze up for shorts. And now they might have entered on this day going short as well. Does that help you? The image? Yeah. Oh, my pleasure, Desert Edge. Anything else you guys want to look at? I did have some long swings on my list. If you guys saw it right here. LCI, SLCA, and nail. So let's look at those. So LCI. So we're hitting this 50 simple moving average on the daily chart, and it's got a bit of a trend line, right? It broke above the trend line here, and we have a bit higher than normal volume. Nothing crazy, but if it's able to go ahead and break above this midline here, that $8 mark, which is also support back here, might be interesting. It might hit some speed bumps here, but then once it clears the $9 mark, if it can go ahead and make it from 8 to 9, potential move up to 10, 20, and then on up. SLCA, another one. This has a potential gap to fill if it breaks the 210, and it's been riding with the 20 simple moving average as support right here. And we had a nice doji day and closed up above it and above the 8 EMA right here. So it might continue on up to the upside. Definitely want to see it break 177. And the other one, I was also looking at Mesa. Did I put on there? No, nail. So nail is another one that ETF, look at all this crazy massive volume. Like, when do you see this much volume? Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Never, right? In the past 2 weeks. It's pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and go over here. Let's see nail. Let's see how many shares are in the float. So nail home builders. So it is a low float with 5.65 million. So this has the ability, I mean, this is a monthly chart. If we go to a weekly chart, uh-oh, sounds like my little ones just spilled something. It does break above the 2080 mark. Could get really, really interesting. What's really interesting is this crazy ramping volume. And look at what the price is doing. Where's the price going? Let's see this. Over the past 4 weeks, right? It's just going sideways, right? Hasn't done anything, but the volume has increased. So something's going on somewhere where there's going to be a big move. Whether it's above the $14.50, $15 mark, even $17 mark right here, or breaking down below the 680 mark. But never in that time has it had that much volume. And 10.9 million, so double the volume of the float was traded on Friday. Kind of crazy, right? Disney double top. Let's look at it, Archie. On the weekly, look, we're hitting a simple moving average, or an EMA, exponential moving average there. And we had selling wicks, selling wicks, selling. Let's go to our daily. So we do have that W set up, but if you look at it on multiple time frames, it's not all saying, hey, let's go bullish, right? To me, on the weekly, it looks a bit bearish because had that, but we have a bit of a W, right? Could maybe test 116 and then come back down, or test the low right here, 110, and then at that point, the simple moving average might be at 114.50-ish. What are you talking about, Desert Edge? On IMMU? Home builder is going to get killed short term. They might, Chris. It might be a scenario, yes. I mean, you've got people that are going to default on mortgages, default on credit loans, default on auto loans. So all of the debt bubble might just implode like back in 2008. So it could get super nasty. Real estate markets, REITs could be dropping. Could get really, really ugly. Disney. A bear flag right here. On the daily we're talking about. If it were to break that trend line with higher volume, yeah, it could be a real mess. We go to a 45-minute chart. Could be a bit of a bull flag, I see, right? Right here. Right here. And it's trend lines work better than the drawings. DMP. You know what, Donald, they are losing money, but however, they're still also making money on the live streaming aspect. So that's thrown a little bit of that. And for sure, the parks are closed. That's a huge, huge aspect for them. However, they also have all the retail aspect of it, online sales, lots of things that go into it besides just the parks for Disney. But yes, the cruise lines and going there as a vacation destination, yes. All right, DNP. Were you asking about that ticker, Kurt? The Select Income Fund. Right now, let's look at our daily. Had a bit of a sell-off. It couldn't hold it. It might have, you know, a move like this where it's going to come back down and then go up, maybe, and test the 50 simple moving average. But the volume is not really increasing. Like right here, there was the massive, massive volume down at the bottom. Still another higher volume day, even though it had a bit of a sell-off. So the volume was decreasing, and then it dropped from there. Then as it came down, a bit more volume again at the bottom. Here, a doji day with a high volume, and then it ramped up. But the volume's not really anything larger than normal, right? Here we had a bigger volume day, and here a bigger volume day. All right, guys, it sounds like my little ones would like to go and play outside. So unless you guys have any other questions, I pray that you guys are all safe and sound. Please be extra diligent. Wear a mask if you go out. I saw something that the Japanese did about the micro molecules in the air and how long they can linger, and it's pretty crazy. So just be extra safe for you and for everyone else that loves you. All right, guys? Have a great one. Be very safe, and carpe profit, seize those profits one trade at a time. Bye.